Hey friends, it's Lee again. Today I have for you another fanfiction review, and I'm really excited because this is the type of story that when I'm in the mood to read Harry Potter fanfiction, it's one of my favorite little subgenres, and it's called Marauders Find Out, which probably goes without saying, but it's a story that takes place when the Marauders are in their second year of school and they're just becoming friends, and it's the story of how whatever led up to them finding out about Remus's condition. And it's just so interesting to see how different writers imagined that would happen. It's kind of like a whole genre unto itself, and I can see why, because that story is never really explained in detail, so people have fun making up their own version of it. So this story is called Of Moonlight and Secrets, and it's by capital BW underscore James underscore 4100. And I'll have all this information in the description down below, along with a link to the story and a link to my personal fanfiction site on Archive of Our Own. That's the one I prefer, but I'll have that one and the fanfiction.net one below for you guys if you want to read what I write. So this story was completed in February of 2019, so it's really recent, which is exciting. It's just over 43,000 words, and according to the little website that I used to guesstimate it, that means it would take about an hour and a half to read, so not too long. This story is cross-posted on AO3, fanfiction.net, and Wattpad. Okay, so let's see my little notes here. This is another Wolfstar story. So the pairing is Sirius Remus, and like I said, they're in their second year, and it's the story of how they eventually find out that Remus is a werewolf. And like I touched on before, there are a lot of stories like this, and I've read a lot of them, and in my experience, it's kind of hard to find a good one. It's strange because there's so many of them, but in my opinion, like, they're usually not detailed enough or dramatic enough. Like, they're too simple or something. I'm not sure exactly why, but this is obviously just my personal opinion. I've been reading this type of Marauder story for so long, and I couldn't find one that like scratched the itch or whatever. So honestly, it was kind of getting to a point where I thought that I would have to write my version of the story to be like satisfied, which sounds so shady and conceited, but I don't know. It's just how I feel, even though I feel bad saying it. Anyway, after finding the story of Moonlight and Secrets, I feel like I don't really have to write a Marauders Find Out myself because they did such a good job. And I might obviously write it one day just for the hell of it or whatever, but I don't feel like I have to do some sort of like duty. Let's see. One second. First of all, I'd like to mention that although I love angst and drama, like I said earlier, in this story, sometimes the descriptions of the thoughts and feelings that the characters are having are kind of convoluted and rambling. And detail, of course, is appreciated. But sometimes when things are said in a shorter way, it can be more cutting and sound more mature overall, which would have kind of elevated the overall tone of the story. Sorry, I got distracted because my window's open and someone just peeked in here. This is a real YouTuber moment. The first one of its kind on my channel. Okay, sorry. Let's see. So for things I liked, it's a small detail, but I really enjoy when the titles of a story are all similar and, you know, they give a hint of what the chapter is about without giving it away. For example, the story is called Of Moonlight and Secrets, and so each of the chapters is of blank and blank. So, for example, there's one called Of Monsters and Memories, and Of Freedom and Finality, and things like that. So I love when there's like a theme. I like when it makes the whole work feel more cohesive and like a nice, neat little package. I appreciate that the author treats Peter fairly. I really don't like it when people let the knowledge of, oh yeah, Mischief Managed. I forgot to show that earlier, but so cute. Anyway, I don't like when people let the knowledge of Peter being a traitor, like, write him differently when they're like little kids, especially this early in the friendship. I've seen stories where he's literally laughing at a joke and he like wets himself, and it's like, I know he's a horrible character, but like, are you really gonna have him be that like cartoony and weird? Anyway, of course I can see how later in school he would like be disdainful of the others, or, you know, if war is coming, he starts being a little sketchy or suspicious or something. But like, they're 12 years old in this story, and it's like, they had to have been his friend for a long while for some good reason, right? So why are you gonna write him like he's already this evil person? He's 12, like they just met. Anyway, I like that this story makes it to where he's just a normal 12-year-old kid, like a good friend still. And speaking of 12-year-olds, I feel like this story kind of elevates the maturity of the characters in it. In my mind, they kind of read older than 12, but it serves the story well because there's more like depth of emotion and thought. I much prefer when a character reads older than younger, and it just makes the whole, like, they're too simple-minded and it makes the story kind of shallow. But honestly, it's been a long time since I was 12 years old, so it could be an entirely like accurate portrayal of a 12-year-old now that I think about it, because I was like 12 in like 1999 or some nonsense like that. So yeah, it's probably accurate now that I think about it. But as I was reading it, I was like, damn, these are some mature 12-year-olds. But again, it's a give or take thing. That's just how I felt when I was reading it. Let's see. Similarly to other Marauders Find Out stories, Sirius is the one that finally puts the pieces together, and that makes the most sense to me, especially given the romantic pairing of Wolfstar that this story has. But even if it wasn't a Wolfstar story, for some reason it just feels like Sirius would be the one to figure it out to me. So I like that about it. I like this story a lot because the moment leading up to how he realizes the truth is like, the reasoning is more emotional and subtle than a lot of stories I've read. Like, the realization felt more realistic, and it was based in a place of like love and like knowing Remus well as a person, instead of like a dumb luck kind of figuring it out. Like I've read stories where it's like, and he looked to his right and suddenly there was a moon cycle calendar, and then he was, whoa, I don't know. I think you know what I mean. So it's more based in caring and friendship, like the stuff that led up to him being like, oh shit, that's what's wrong with him. Let's see. I personally really liked the elements of the story that were based in kind of like light horror themes, with the severity of Remus and his transformations on the full moon. The writer is detailed when it comes to like his injuries and stuff like that. So I guess if you're sensitive to that type of thing, you might want to skip this story. But I like stuff like that. I didn't find it like gruesome or anything. But I really liked in the story that they used the transformations and the injuries to push the story forward, because specific things he keeps getting hurt in specific ways that basically is making it harder and harder for him to lie about what's wrong with him. And so his friends just gradually get more and more suspicious, and it just seems like a very natural like progression of tension in the friendship as each month keeps going on. The confrontation between Remus and his friends after they find out about his lycanthropy is not as smooth as a lot that I've read, and I really like that. It's like a messier thing than him just being like, I'm a monster, no. And then they're his friends are like, no, you're not, we love you, and they all hug or something. Like, that's nice, but it's not very realistic. And it's just less entertaining when it's an easy fix like that. So I think the author does a good job in the story of the conflict that is mostly between Remus and Sirius, and the author also does a good job checking in with James and Peter with how they're thinking and feeling and acting during the fight. And when they were checking in on James and Peter, their reactions and their thoughts felt very realistic. And of course, the whole tension of the fight makes their eventual reconciliation like that much more of a relief, that much more satisfying. Then there was a very brief epilogue to the story, and at first it felt tacked on to me, but I guess probably all epilogues can feel that way. It didn't sit well with me overall, especially when I first read it. I read it again and I like it a lot better, except for the last few lines. I hate to say it, but I really feel like it's a little bit too cheesy for me, a little bit too fluffy. If literally the last 3 lines were omitted, I would have liked it better. But, I mean, obviously it's not a huge deal. It's still the best Marauders Find Out that I've read. And the author's note for the epilogue, even, you know, to be fair, like, they admit this is pure fluff. Like, I couldn't resist. Like, I just had to write this and add it. So there's that. So I would definitely recommend this story if you're looking for a story of how James, Peter, and Sirius find out that Remus is a werewolf. I'd probably give this story about an 8 out of 10. Let's see. And let's see. I think that's about it. Like I said, linked below will be the story I'm talking about today, and also a link to my fanfiction account. There's 4 stories on there, and they're all completed. There's 2 Wolfstar and 2 Snoopin', you know, some short, some longer. So be sure to check that out and leave a review if you feel like it. And also, it would mean a lot if you like videos like this to subscribe for other Harry Potter fanfiction ideas. I have so many videos in the works about different favorites, favorite Snoopin', favorite Rimadora, favorite, you know, older stories, like stories that are over 10 years old, favorite newer stories. There's tons of stuff because that's basically the only, it's the primary fanfiction genre that I read is Harry Potter, so there's just like literally a dozen ideas that I have. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, share with your friends. If you have a Harry Potter nerd in your life, then point them in my direction. It would mean a whole lot. Thank you for all your love on the last fanfiction video. And yeah, let me know if you have any recommendations for this type of story. There's a lot of them, and I mean, I'm sure I've missed other good ones. So yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.